Johnstown is located in Pennsylvania. It was the site of one of the worst dam failures in history and the worst in the United States. But this story goes beyond civil engineering failures and disasters. It is the story of the working class and the super elite, and also a hunting club for these people. Thank you for viewing. This is Up Close with Andrew West. So, Mr. Burkett, could you tell us a little bit about what life was like in Johnstown and what the area was like back in the 1800s?
Well, Johnstown was a sort of backwoods trading center when it was founded in 1800. Boomed when the Pennsylvania Canal came through in the 1830s, and then 20 years later when the Pennsylvania Railroad came through. And it's a matter of decades. It had gone, from kind of a frontier outpost to one of the leading steel centers in the world.
By 1834, you had this wonderfully ambitious system that went basically from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia by a combination of narrow gauge railroad and traditional canals.
From what I understand, the rivers played a critical part in this story. Could you explain a little bit about that?
There are three major rivers around the Johnstown area. You have the Little Conemaugh River, and you have the Stony Creek River, and these two rivers merge to form the Conemaugh River itself. These rivers have provided what was necessary for the industries that were here, and these rivers helped put the town on the map.
As industry grew, so did the town. Approximately 30,000 people resided in the area in 1889.
From what I understand, the dam was not particularly well constructed.
They would just make a layer of earth, dirt and rock. Water would be added to make it airtight and watertight.
The center of the embankment consisted of slate, stones, and more earth. The downstream portion was built up mostly of rocks, weighing up to 10 tons.
From what I understand, the spillway section of a dam is the most important part of the structure. Just how safe and how well built were the spillways on the Johnstown Dam?
It had, we believe, certainly one spillway, but we think it had a second emergency spillway. It had pipes running underneath it, a culvert that allowed the operator of the dam to actually drain it if there was an emergency.
Taking 14 years to complete, the dam stood 72 feet high, 918 feet across, 10 feet thick at the top, and 220 feet thick at its base. It seemed impenetrable.
Did the canals play an important role in the Johnstown flood?
One of the many ironies in the timeline of the Johnstown flood story was that the western reservoir of the Pennsylvania Mainline Canal was finished just in time for canals to go out of business.
The railroads had taken over as the preferred source of transportation. With no need for a reservoir, the dam stood in neglect for the next 27 years.
So the dam was actually abandoned for quite a few years and was sitting there in a state of disrepair.
With no need for a reservoir, the dam stood in neglect for the next 27 years. In 1862, a heavy storm caused a collapse in the center portion of the dam, which destroyed the stone culvert. The marred structure sat until 1879.
How did the dam being abandoned affect its structural integrity?
The South Fork Dam was really an accident waiting to happen. When it was reconstructed, there were several very serious engineering flaws, which really totally set the stage for disaster.
What role did Roth play in the reconstruction of the dam, and how did his failure to have the dam upgraded play an important part also in this dam disaster?
Benjamin Ruff bought the land and created the exclusive South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club.
Ruff, who had worked for the railroad, hired some workmen and came up here and began to rebuild the dam. They had no engineer working on the project, and it was really just a construction gang, a railroad construction gang.
Built like a railroad embankment, the dam was eventually repaired. But puddled clay was not used, and the culvert was not reinstalled.